Hello. I'm assuming that I'm live. Here we go. Hello. This is an interesting experience. I cannot see anyone in this room with me, but I'm Andy Cook, Executive Director of Made in Baltimore. Hopefully, if you're here, you've just seen the video that we pulled together with Citywide Youth Development, and I am looking forward to taking any questions. I see we've been joined by a couple new people. For those that have just joined us, my name is Andy Cook. I'm the Executive Director at Made in Baltimore. Hopefully you've had the opportunity to check out the video we put together with Citywide Youth Development. Happy to take any questions about that or just have a chat about the work of Made in Baltimore. Happy to do that as well. Okay. Um, so let's see. I have a question from Mikey. Was posted under the video. How did you engage those partners in creating the center? What did you think was most compelling to them about the project? So our relationship with Citywide Youth Development goes back really to the beginning of the program. Rashid was one of the first people that I met when I was beginning the work of Made in Baltimore. Really, we were just introduced because the names of our programs were so similar. His the clothing brand that Citywide runs is called Made in Be More Clothing. So people just thought, oh, these guys should know each other. So we connected probably back in 2015. And I had the opportunity of first meeting Rashid at Citywide's former space over near Lexington Market. That was before they would move down to the Port Covington area at City Garage, where they grew their manufacturing program for a couple years, and while they developed the Image Center project. We've engaged with Citywide any number of ways over the years. We've sold their products in our pop-up stores. Rashid and I have attended conferences and spoken together at Urban Manufacturing Alliance conferences in the past. And we've really just tried to promote their work at every opportunity we've had to basically highlight, what we think is kind of an incredible model of using manufacturing as a vehicle for advancing youth entrepreneurship, training people in applicable skills, but not just the the skills of making or manufacturing products, but also of running the business and understanding the business side of it. I think that's so crucial to what they do. So yeah, our effort has really just mostly been as a cheerleader for what they're doing. Occasionally creating platform for sales of their products. And when we've had the opportunity, we've also been able to hire Frozen Desert to cater events that we put together, make introductions to other institutional buyers throughout the city. A lot of our work comes down to trying to expand the network of our members and make introductions, connect them to what will hopefully be lucrative opportunities for their business. Let's see. Next question that came in asks, do the young adults have a say in product development? And what is the termination process in terms of what is chosen for manufacturing? So that's really more of a question for Rashid than it is for me, but I do know that the young people do have a lot of say, specifically in the design of the product. So a lot of what Made in Be More does, I mean, they manufacture, they cut and sew their clothing, right? So they do the whole thing, like beginning to end of the process. But a lot of it is also the embellishing, the screen printing and embroidery. And I know that the designs that are printed and embroidered on the clothing are often designs made by the young people participating in the program. Um, and and I know that they also, over time, as we saw with Sadiq, kind of move up in, I don't say rank, but they change positions and take on more responsibility. And so my understanding is that those that have been there the longest have kind of the most say over the product development. One example is a man named David, who I believe was kind of Rashid's first mentee when they were starting out their work in Florida. And David has moved up to Baltimore with Rashid, and he is now, I believe, the artistic director, does a lot of the design work and a lot of the marketing work as well. I hope that answered the question. So our role really, we are not officially, how should I say, like a part of the citywide organization. Made in Baltimore is a program of city government of the Baltimore Development Corporation, and so we issue this business certification to companies or nonprofits that are manufacturing in the city. And when a company gets that certification, they become what we call members of Made in Baltimore. They join the network, and what we do is design programs to support our members. That looks often like marketing efforts that we do. We create a lookbook every year that includes locally made products. We do pop-up shops. We do ad campaigns, really just about increasing exposure and audience for our members. But we also do business development work. We do workshops, training entrepreneurs in skill building. This year, we focused a lot on digital marketing, since a lot of our companies do a lot of their sales at in-person events or at retail locations. So everyone found that they had to pivot entirely to online sales. So we did a lot of work around, how do you find audience when they're only online? And then the last piece is that we survey our members every year, and we kind of collect both hard data as well as anecdotal data just through our regular communications, day-to-day communications with them. And we try and take that information and turn it into policy. One example of that is that we're working with the city right now on zoning questions for light manufacturing. So the city's been losing available space for production for a long time. A project like Rashid's, like the Image Center, is so special because it's really, we don't see a lot of new manufacturing space coming online in the city. Typically, it's the reverse. We see old manufacturing space converted to something else, and what that does is it creates a squeeze on the space that remains and raises prices, leasing rates for our members. So we're working with the city right now to try and identify, can we make some light manufacturing uses more distributed throughout the city, available in some commercial areas where they would be appropriate. So we try and work on policies as well. And I'm seeing another question that just came in. What ways has city officials been supportive of this initiative? I know that the Image Center received public funding to be built, both from our entity, the Baltimore Development Corporation, but as well as from the state of Maryland and possibly other places as well. I don't know the full capital stack of that development project, but I know that there was significant public financing behind it. So that's a big one. And like I said, Made in Baltimore ourselves, we are a city program, and so all the work that we do is it is the city supporting these companies, and it takes the forms that I just shared. And what we're sort of my theory of change around it is that if we can kind of create this community or foster this community of entrepreneurs, they'll be better able to speak for themselves. They'll be better able to advocate for the things that they need. Once organized as a network, are collaborating with each other more. They're creating products together. They're going in on spaces together. They're starting events, craft shows together, and that kind of collaboration that our network fosters, I think, is kind of the secret sauce for how this sector of our economy is really gonna gel and grow. Let's see. I saw another unanswered question down here that is asking to tell us more about the buy local movement. I'll say that I think I see buying local as important for three main reasons. One is that when you buy a local product, you're keeping all that dollar that you're spending is staying in your community. When you buy something that's manufactured overseas, for example, a portion of that dollar goes overseas to that company. A portion of it goes to a corporate headquarters somewhere else. And so the net effect is that we are sending our wealth to other places. And there's good and bad sides to that, but if we're able to capture more of that dollar, especially in a place like Baltimore that is under-resourced, I would say, we keep more of that dollar circulating locally, and that company that you just spent it on is more likely to spend it on another local business, so that it allows to do more work. So that's one reason. Another reason is environmental. When you're buying a locally made product, it doesn't have to be shipped, around the globe. We've seen so many disruptions in the supply chain this year, kind of highlighting the fragility of that global supply chain. When we have a more robust regional manufacturing ecosystem, we're able to be more resilient in the face of those kinds of disruptions. And lastly, I think that the buying local piece is also about reinvesting in our communities and our neighborhoods. We've seen a lot of disinvestment over the decades in Baltimore since a lot of our big manufacturers moved overseas, and it's left extreme vacancy. It's left unemployment, and I don't believe that we're ever going to see those big manufacturers back in Baltimore City again, but our hope is that we will see a lot of small ones that pop up all over the place and are creating jobs in their neighborhoods and are filling vacant buildings in their neighborhoods. So we really see this, the part of the mission of buying local is that you're supporting that kind of activity. You're supporting that reinvestment, both in the people, but also the physical infrastructure of your neighborhood. See another question that came in that asks, how did you engage those partners in creating the center? What do you think was most compelling to them about the project? Oh, I think maybe that's not a new one. I thought I answered that already, but I'll go back to the what was most compelling for them about the project. I think that having a center like the Image Center in West Baltimore, where people that wouldn't necessarily have other opportunities to see a factory, to see not just a factory, a Black-owned factory at that, producing products that are relevant, to that community. The clothing that they're making there is really it's designed for and by people in West Baltimore in large part. So I think that there's a lot of inspirational capacity there at that center, and I think that's a lot of what they're doing. It's not simply about having a business, making a product, and selling it, but rather it's serving as an example for what is possible, what can be done. When a group like that really puts their hearts and minds into it. I see another question that came in. Does your organization connect small manufacturers with commercial manufacturing vacancies? Yes, that is actually something that we try and do a lot. In fact, we're about to run an accelerator program right now. We're calling the Home Run Accelerator, specifically for small manufacturers, specifically home-based manufacturers, people that are working out of their homes, a spare bedroom, a basement, a garage, that want to expand into commercial or industrial production space. So applications are open now through Sunday, midnight this Sunday. And the goal is to get a cohort of about a dozen companies that fit that profile, lead them through a business development curriculum that we've been developing in partnership with another group we work with here in town called Impact Hub Baltimore, and then pair them with peer mentors, other business owners that have gone that road themselves, that have scaled a business out of their homes and into a commercial space. And at the end of a 5-month process, do actual matchmaking where we're helping these entrepreneurs find spaces, and they could be any type of space. Really, we're leaving that open to what the business owner wants. Some of them are going to be looking for straight industrial space, warehouse kind of space. Some are also more interested in having a retail component. So we're looking at main streets and storefronts where they can both manufacture and sell their products. But that is very much a piece of what we do, is try and make those matchmaking connections between businesses and spaces. If you're in Baltimore, there's a couple places that I think are really interesting that are doing that right now. There's, a new building in Old Town, rather an old building that's been recently redeveloped, called Art at 520. The address is 520 Forest Street. And that property was redeveloped as art studios. But over the past year, we've been connecting a lot of our members to that building because the spaces are the right size, the leasing rates are affordable, and even during this crazy year that we've had economically, that building has been completely leased up in large part through Made in Baltimore companies that we've introduced to them. So there's really a demand for that kind of space that we're seeing within our network, and we do our best to communicate that not only to to the city government and the decision makers at the city level, but also to developers and property owners, to say that if you can create something that fits, checks these boxes, we're relatively confident there'll be demand for that space. Let's see, making sure I haven't missed any other questions here. Got about 2.5 minutes left for anyone that's still with us. If there's any other additional questions, happy to take them. I'm also curious to know, what drew people to this conference specifically today. I can see in the room that we've got a C.E.W. Tate and a Robert Dews. I don't know if either of you have any questions or comments. I'd love to know what brought you to this conference today. Well, if there are no further questions or comments, I think that it's possible that we can wrap up just a minute early. I will just, thank you guys for joining this presentation. Really, happy to be a part of the COPN conference today. I look forward to a few of the future sessions, and if anyone is interested in learning more about Made in Baltimore, I'm going to drop our website, madeinbaltimore.org, into the chat. And I encourage you to check it out, particularly if you are or know of a business that might be a fit for either our certification program or for the Home Run Accelerator. We'd love to connect. Okay, here's another one. A question from Robert Dews. Do you assist with prototyping or have resources? So we personally do not. We are we are a staff of 3 that work from our homes right now, but we do connect for prototyping. We attempt to connect folks with the